is this not crying foul right ahead of a very crucial day for the national capital? Has Congress sensed something wrong going their way tomorrow? That is why they have come up with a three-cornered attack for the BJP as well as the Election Commission.
Well, Sakshi, it's meant Mr. Rennie, incidentally. But the fact of the matter is that it's a peculiar coincidence that back in 2019, just before the Lok Sabha elections, and in Maharashtra thereafter, just before the Vidhan Sabha elections, we saw a similar situation arise. I had the good fortune of reporting on it for the Hindu newspaper when 36 lakh new voters had applied for registration 5 months before the elections in Maharashtra. So it's not a new phenomenon, if one may put it that way. 36 lakh, and now, as we are seeing at the press conference, it's being alleged that in the 5 months preceding the Maharashtra State Assembly elections, there were 39 lakh voters who were added. So when you look at the all near identical numbers from 2019 and 2024, it's not surprising. Yes, you must try and understand why there would be such a surge. So if you go back to 2019, we had the February, dastardly Pulwama attack, which was followed by a Balakot initiative by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which certainly, created a lot of enthusiasm, and youth at the time were definitely taken in favor of the BJP, and therefore we could see that surge that happened back in 2019, the 5 months that witnessed 36 lakh new voter applications in Maharashtra. Likewise, if we look at the more recently held general elections of India, where the BJP did not perform quite well. Their effective strength of members of parliament was reduced from 303 that they enjoyed, which coming down to 240 MPs. Now, that again, in the in the wake of subsequent actions that were happening in Bangladesh, we saw a lot of minority communities, to include Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, and Christians being targeted there in Bangladesh. And such sentiment, which we also saw playing out in Haryana, where the Congress was supposed to be having a cakewalk, and yet the BJP was able to come in. So there was a lot of public sentiment that was created, I would suspect, in favor of the BJP. And so when the Maharashtra assemblies were held, there must have been that similar surge in voter applications by the youth, who would have felt that aspects of what were happening around would be best tackled by the BJP-led dispensation in Maharashtra. So that's how I look at it, Sakshi. I hope this helps.
Definitely. Mr. Rennie, also one more additional question, because this is according to one of the sources and one of the media organization, that Maharashtra Congress themselves, they did their internal survey. They sense that they are losing a major chunk of the Hindu votes to the BJP. Apart from that, they also sense that the Ladki Bahan Yojana is going to be in favor of the BJP. Apart from that, why blame the EVMs and, discrediting the machine when you sense that you are in fact going to lose a big chunk of your vote bank to the other party?
Absolutely, Sakshi. What you said is absolutely, spot on. Why are you, doing it? I mean, it's like, grapes being sour, as we understand in general parlance. Now, the fact of the matter is, they should have had grievances similarly after the Lok Sabha elections. But they didn't, because the MVA was able to secure 31 MPs out of the 48 in Maharashtra. So at that point of time, the EVMs were just fine. And 5 months later, when the state assemblies of Maharashtra were held and the BJP came back into power with a huge surge of 132 MLAs being elected only on their own account. In Maharashtra, the magic figure to rule is 145 MLAs out of 288 totally being there. So BJP was almost within, forming government by itself with 132, which was a record. They had bettered their best 122 mark in 2014, which went down to 205 in 2019, and improved it to 132 in 2024. So the Congress stance cannot be different for the general elections vis-a-vis the state assemblies. Now that is a contradiction, and I'm sure they have to explain that away. I mean, you can't just say this doesn't suit me, so I'm going to complain about it. The last one was perfectly good for my party, so we are perfectly fine with EVMs. It is a kind of a hypocrisy that is playing out, if you ask me. Of course, that's depending on how data starts flowing out here on.
Interestingly, because we remember what happened in Wayanad, we remember what happened in Jharkhand. When results are in your favor, you are not asking any questions about the EVMs. But then again, about the Maharashtra, everything boils down to that point, which, you know, reminds me of this statement of Ambadas Danve, who is from UBT faction. He himself said that the Maharashtra results were, in fact, the conclusion of parties overconfident. Congress specifically, he targeted that. Is that not attacking your own ally?
Absolutely. I mean, what we did see also was post the state assembly elections, or rather pre the post assembly elections, there was a lot of infighting within the India bloc. You saw the Congress, which had secured the maximum number of MPs from Maharashtra in the Lok Sabha elections, numbering 13 out of the 17 that they contested, suddenly saying, look, we are the numero uno party in this MVA alliance, and we will seek more seats, which they did effectively contest also in the state assembly election. So there was already that kind of a discordant ambiance in the MVA alliance right after the Lok Sabha, till which they had fought collectively. But the results saw the Congress kind of flexing its muscles and saying, look, we need to get a lion's share. The Shiv Sena was not happy about it. Sharad Pawar was, trying to pacify the two. So they really had a disrupted ship, heading into the state assembly elections. And that caused a lot of acrimony between the partners, not much of which came out. I mean, there was even requirement for the observer for Maharashtra appointed by the Congress of Mr. Ramesh Chanitala having to visit Matoshri to placate Uddhav Thackeray, who had insisted that we don't want Congress Maharashtra Pradesh Committee President Nana Patole to be part of the seat sharing discussions any further. So you can understand the kind of huge disruptions that happened not before the Lok Sabha elections, but just before the state assembly elections of Maharashtra. So it was a divided house, the MVA that is. And on the other hand, you had the Mahayuti alliance of the BJP, Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena, and Ajit Pawar's NCP, who were working in perfect tandem and coordination with each other. And they added to with the Ladki Bahin. So they were so focused on the assembly elections, whereas here the MVA opposition was totally in a broken down state of communication even with themselves. So we saw this playing out, and that is why, if you notice, after the Lok Sabha, the first call that started emanating from the opposition factions of the MVA was the Uddhav Thackeray Sena as well as the NCP, suggesting that even the India bloc should change its leadership from the Congress to probably Mamata Banerjee. So that told us all the story, what was really happening. Why would they want a change of the India bloc leadership? So it just exposed this kind of fault lines in the political arrangement of the opposition MVA in Maharashtra.
Absolutely. Mr. Reni, let's also circle back to this triangular attack, though, that came into not only the BJP, but also the Election Commission. Now, Rahul Gandhi is saying that we are just asking you to provide us the voters list, and Election Commission can very smoothly do that in merely 15 days. Despite all of that, either they have lost control of the list or that they are extremely manipulative. This is the word that the leader of the opposition has said. What do you have to say about that?
Sakshi, this is a very, very silly kind of a narrative that's being played out. Allow me to explain this because, like I told you, I was the guy who reported for the Hindu in 2019 that as of November 1st, 2018 onwards till the Lok Sabha, there were 36 new voter applications in Maharashtra. Now, I had been able to sit down with electoral department officials to understand this whole, gamut of developments, because it was the record number of voter registrations that were, effected in 2019 itself. So I was explained the process very minutely by state election department officials. The late Mr. A.N. Walvi, he was a really treasure, house of information. And as he explained to me that every single edition and also every single deletion, of a voter name from the list entails a very thorough procedural format, of forms being filled, objections being sought. Because you must understand, Sakshi, voter registrations is one thing, but deletions are the most serious aspect that they take. Because, as a party candidate, I may want to disrupt the opposition party candidate and I can go and file an application to have his name deleted from the rolls. But the processes, therefore, are so sacrosanct and so stringently followed in terms of inviting objections from anybody to the sought deletion. Similarly, for any additions, the format and procedure laid out has to be followed, and it does not allow for any scope, so to speak, of manipulations as are being alleged. Of course, I mean, I can't be the last word on everything, but I have taken time to understand how this whole process works. And as the late Mr. A.N. Walvi used to explain to me, every stage we will have to get objections from the public till look, so and so's name is sought to be deleted, or so and though it doesn't happen in terms of additions of voters, but there again it's a huge process that is laid out for adding new voters, which includes their Aadhaar cards, their all the relevant documentations, which leaves little scope. Having said that, Sakshi, if I may quickly add one small point. Very recently, I had occasion to news break another story about how in Maharashtra there were over 1.5 lakh Bangladeshi and Rohingya nationals who have been able to secure birth certificates. This has just happened, and it then became news. And so these are, and none of them are newly born. They're all 30, in the range of 30 to 70 years of age, and close to 1 lakh have been issued birth certificates. So there are certain anomalies, and that obviously the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has appointed a special task force to look into that. So there is a point of caution. How could so many foreign aliens be granted birth certificates? And it's really something that we must consider while we talk about these aspects.